Oh, that wall bang though. You know he's mad.
I just swapped to you, dude, as you shot him to the wall. And I was recording that, good sir. That one was recorded from your perspective. What's going on, guys? Kryptex here, so I got you some CSGO gameplay, and competitive, obviously. So, the reason I wanted to show some CSGO gameplay, competitive of course, I was playing with a few of my friends. We had, I think, one random on our team, but it has a lot to do with what I want to talk about in this video. So, we all know that the past few Call of Duties, a lot of people have been looking into the files of the game, I believe, and they have found that skill-based matchmaking is in fact a thing. So, a lot of people have mixed feelings about this. Some people think that it makes the game better. Now, I want to explain why it doesn't really briefly, so you know what we're working with here. One of the big ones is connections. It completely disregards connections over a certain player's skill. I say that very lightly because it's generally just based on stats. I believe your score per minute and your kill to death ratio and maybe your win-loss. There's probably a few other stats contributed in there, but I would say those are the general stats. Okay, so we know what we're working with here. Skill-based matchmaking doesn't particularly work for Call of Duty. If you're just trying to play a public match and be casual, that's the reason I play Call of Duty. I play it because it's just one of those games you can pick up and play one match if you wanted to even, and you can sit back down and do whatever and go about your day. When you play a game like CSGO, these matches can last up to an hour or even longer depending on how long it gets drug out, but they on average last about 45 to 55 minutes, somewhere around that. Especially if you got a really good competitive team against you where you each get about 14 to 15 points. Obviously if you get 15 you'll both tie, but that's just to put things into perspective. Okay, so why does it affect Call of Duty so negatively? Now, I'm going to go into a few things that I'm going to go into assumption-wise, why I think that affects Call of Duty so negatively. One of those was obviously the connections. Another is the player base and the way the game is in the meta format. And what I mean by that is basically how the weapons are, the weapon balance and stuff like that. Obviously, Call of Duty has terrible weapon balance. Now, for the most part, everything's generally where it should be. Now, there's obviously those top 3 weapons that you'll see a lot of players use. For MW3, it was the ACR, PP90, and the MP7. Top 3. Black Ops 2, it was probably the PDW, the MSMC, and of course, the N94. And again, these weapons change due to patch updates and stuff like that. But those are just throwing some numbers at you and some gameplay and how all that is contributed and guns and stuff like that, how that was all affected. Now, in CSGO, depending on the weapon that you use, it really can heavily impact your gameplay. Now, obviously, if you choose a bad weapon, you have a higher chance of doing poorly against a player that has a better weapon. Now, it also has a lot to contribute to your aim. If you have bad aim, like I was right there, I was trying to control my recoil. And I'm still learning each weapon. It's still a little bit difficult to manage, and I can't just act like you're going to be a global elite master and know how to handle recoil control. I know you guys, you just know how to handle it perfectly, and you can get perfect one-shot headshots every time, you know, because your aim's always on point. Obviously, me, I'm not. This is also my warm-up game, so I'm not going to be the best, but this is just to give you guys a rough example how everything goes. So, in CSGO, there's a lot more things that contribute to how it's played out. This game takes a lot more skill than Call of Duty. Obviously, it's not perfectly balanced either. No game will be perfectly balanced, but they're always changing and they're always updating, and this game's been out for a few years now. But it still receives updates. Why? Because it's actually still a very popular game. I think it's actually the most popular FPS on the PC platform with around 500,000 plus players all the time, which is kind of insane considering that the next closest one is Battlefield 4 coming in at around, I think, about 100,000 on PC. Maybe a little bit more, give or take, since Hardline came out and it was a fail flop on the PC, but who knows. But I do know that CSGO is one of the most played games on the PC, especially on the FPS genre. And there's a reason for that. This game is very competitive and it does it right. Call of Duty, if you try to put competitive into Call of Duty, it just doesn't work. And there's a lot of reasons for that. A few of those I listed. I'll list a few more. You gotta consider the community. Now, a lot of people that play that game, or that series, or any specific Call of Duty, whether it was Call of Duty 4 and they stopped playing, or whether it was Advanced Warfare and they stopped playing, or whatever the case may be, if you're playing Call of Duty, most likely, you're not trying to be MLG. And if you are, then you're doing it in the wrong scenario unless you actually are on an MLG team like Optic Gaming or a bunch of other MLG teams, which I do not know the names of because I don't follow it. It's not really interesting to me. Because again, Call of Duty competitive just doesn't work for me unless it's actually at a specific event where Optics versing another team or whatever the case may be. Whenever it's a legit MLG team or whatever set up, obviously that can be interesting because it gets really down to the nitty gritty, but you can get crazy, intense gameplays just in competitive public matches like you're seeing here. This is just a regular non-MLG team competitive public match, and it gets intense sometimes, and that's what I like about video games. I like those intense moments when I play shooters, but sometimes if I just want to play and chill, that's why I liked Call of Duty before they started to implement the skill-based matchmaking, and I feel like it takes away from the casual fun aspect of Call of Duty. I think that's why a lot of people have been straying away from the series. Now, obviously, it's going to bring new fans in. That's a given. It's going to always bring new fans in because it's getting more popular as each release comes out. Because the series has been around for 10 plus years. Obviously, it's going to get a lot of news and breaking news and stuff, and they've also kept it alive really just by releasing trailers and trying to just overhype the game, and you've also got YouTubers to take into consideration. The game's getting more popular with each generation because YouTube is one of the things that really got Call of Duty really popular and as big as it is. There's still going to be people uploading videos of Call of Duty. I mean, I'm going to continue to upload videos of Call of Duty when I do have fun in that game, which is achievable. It just depends on how you play it and just timing, really. Also, the community, speaking upon that, a lot of them just like to mess around and just not really take things seriously. So you get a lot of those people on your team as well. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed in the past few years of playing Call of Duty is people will intentionally trash their stats, otherwise known as reverse boosting. Now, you guys probably already know this. You've heard about people talking about this and plenty of other commentaries, but I just wanted to list that as the big #1 reason why skill-based matchmaking doesn't work in Call of Duty. If you do that in CSGO, you'll probably get banned really quickly, especially with a VAC ban. And players can also see how many VAC bans you have, if you even have any. So that just goes to show that you don't really play fair, so to speak. That's what a lot of players will see you as if you got a VAC ban on you. It's kind of like a "hey, I'm a dunce" sign hanging on your forehead. And I think that discourages a lot of people from doing stuff like that in CSGO, but in Call of Duty, you don't really get any penalization for it besides maybe a ban, but it's not really too severe. Well, let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. You guys, of course, have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.